Hi everyone, it's Paige from Youth Positively Speaking, and I am here with Erin today. We just wanted to give you a happy New Year message and talk a little bit about what we've learned about from this past year making the podcast and what's upcoming in the new year, 2021. I'm so excited for a new year.
Me too. 2020 has been so crazy, and honestly, I'm looking forward to a new year and hopefully some good changes.
Absolutely, a fresh start. But I mean, there were a lot of negatives that happened this past year in 2020, but there were a lot of positives, like we started this podcast, which is amazing.
In 2020 also brought us you, Paige.
I
So
know.
that was so exciting when you got hired, and it was so funny because really I wanted to start a podcast and I had no idea where to start. And when you came in, you knew how to do it, and I said, let's do this. So I'm really excited that we've seen it come together.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I remember when I first got hired, you were like, so I want to start a podcast and I have no idea how to do it. Or I was like, well, I do, so let's do it. And now we're here, 4 episodes in. I have a whole year planned essentially for 2021. I mean, it's so exciting.
It's very exciting. And I love that I'm still asking you every time if my mic is working, how do I turn this mic on and get it all situated?
I know. For those of you listening, we always have different Zoom backgrounds. And before we start, we're always talking to our youth and our experts, and we're having this whole conversation. And every 5 minutes before we go live, we're like scrambling. We're like, does this sound right? Is this good? Is my background backwards?
I think that I'll probably keep on doing that all the way through 2021.
Oh, yeah. It's been a really good learning experience, though.
It has, and I've really enjoyed it. And I think about who we've had on already and some of our youth that are just so amazing, and even some of our experts. It's been really a fun time talking to them and starting to get the message out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love how engaged our youth are because usually when people reach out to a teen or, somebody in college, they're like 5 weeks later, oh, hi, get back to you. But as soon as we reach out to them, they're always like, yeah, this seems super cool, super interesting. And I just love that we have youth who are really engaged and really want to learn more about the topics that we talk about.
I know, it's really fun. And I like that they go, I've never been on a podcast before. This is really cool. And I say, we never had been on a podcast before either. Well, you had, Paige, but I hadn't.
Yeah. But yeah, so 2020, overall, it's been the global challenge, but I think there have been like those little fighting successes that make the year not as dismal as we think it was. Although I will say I'm very excited for 2021.
I know. I was thinking about how COVID comes into every single one of our conversations. And I really can't wait for the moment where we have an entire episode where we don't talk about COVID. And we're not talking about how we're Zooming and all that stuff all the time.
I know. I mean, so we always record our podcast episodes through Zoom so that you all can see our faces if you're watching on YouTube, and also just for the audio for everyone else. But we've never done the podcast in person. And so one day, maybe, next year, we might be doing the podcast in person, and I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, how are we doing this? How are we setting this up? How is this working?
I know. It'll be a whole new learning experience. We'll have gotten this down pat, and then we'll have to do something different.
Yeah, I know. But exciting things. There are so many things to look forward to in a new year. I mean, hopefully COVID restrictions start loosening up a little bit in the new year. We could see family. I think that's what I miss the most.
Yeah. I hope the kids can go back to school all the time. Last year we were doing our positive youth groups at the high school, and it was so much fun, and we would bring them lunch and we would have great conversations. And I really hope we can get back to doing that as well.
Yeah, and I'm also really excited that we have so many experts lined up and like so many ideas for next year. For those of you listening, Erin and I, we work really hard on the podcast behind the scenes, scheduling out experts and youth and topics that we think would be interesting to you. And of course, if you have any topic ideas, we would love to hear them. So put it in the comment section below or email us. You can email me or Erin. Our email is below in the description. It's in the description of every podcast. But we would love to hear what you all think and what your ideas are for the podcast, because there are so many topics that we can talk about,
So
especially
many
in this
topics.
upcoming year. Yeah.
And some of the topics we've already had came from other people, just having conversations about our podcast, and people say, hey, you know what? It would be really cool if you did this. And so it's been really, really exciting seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited that we're getting a lot more partnerships within our local community. So I'm really excited to announce that our first episode of 2021 is going to come out. I think it is January 7th. Let me double check that.
Yeah, it's January 7th.
Yeah, and so that will all be about how faith is used as a protective factor. And we got to partnership with One Voice, which is a group in Hunterdon County that partners with local faith-based organizations. So it's so exciting that we're starting to branch out and make partnerships within our community and get their messages out about prevention as well.
Exactly. And we've just started a partnership with the residents at Hunterdon Medical Center and their second-year residents doctors. And we've been doing some really great things with them. And we're hoping to get one of the residents onto our podcast coming up, hopefully in the next month or so.
Yeah. And I think that'll just be such a great conversation, because we've had people who work in prevention, like Diane Litterer, and all these people who obviously have a breadth of knowledge in prevention, but we've never had somebody who works in the medical field. And I think they offer such a unique point of view. So I'm so excited for those episodes to come out and to plan those episodes. I'm also really excited about getting to talk about marijuana again. I know that we talked about it back in, I think it was like October, but now it's been legalized in New Jersey. So what does that look like? What is it going to look like? I think that's going to be such an interesting topic.
I think so too. And it's really interesting. We have no idea right now still what the legislation landscape is going to look like. So as we watch it unfold, it'll be a great conversation to have on our podcast.
And I think the thing I am most excited about, the podcast episodes, I'm excited to work with our youth always and our experts and to talk about important topics. But Erin, you came up with the most exciting thing, and I'm so excited to get ready for this project. We're calling it Stories from the Street. This was, again, just like the podcast was the brainchild of Erin. This was a new segment, which is the brainchild of Erin. Can you tell the audience a little bit about it? Because I'm so excited.
I'm super excited about Stories from the Street. So basically what happened was my husband and I were talking about our podcast one day, and we had just experienced seeing a woman overdose. And he said, you should really talk about this on the podcast, and maybe you can start a new segment called Stories from the Street. And I couldn't believe it. I said, Stories from the Street, that sounds amazing, because so many people love to hear stories. I know a lot of podcasts that I listen to, I love hearing real people talking about things. So I brought the idea to Paige. She thought it was great. And so now what we're going to do is have one Stories from the Street episode per month to go along with our episode with our youth and our experts. So I'm really excited. And my husband and kids and I are going to be on the first Stories of the Street episode coming up in January.
Yeah, so essentially the way that our new release schedule is going to work for 2021 is we'll have 2 podcasts that come out every month. Thursdays are our release days, so pay attention on Thursdays, because there might just be a new episode out.
Thursday is Friday Eve, remember?
Yeah. And so one episode will be our, typical podcast with our youth and our experts talking about a topic. And then our Stories from the Street will be a story from somebody who has been impacted from substance use, mental health, issues, all those sorts of things. We're so excited to be able to reach out to members in our community and have them tell the world about their stories and their experiences. So I'm just so thrilled and so excited that we have this new segment coming out. And it's great for all of you guys because that means you get 2 episodes a month.
That's right.
Woo!
I'm really, really excited about 2021. I think this is going to be a really great, great year for our podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as always, you all can listen to our old episodes. We're on every platform that you can possibly find podcasts. And we will be keeping going on in 2021. Like I said, we'll be posting 2 times a month. Follow us on social media because we do have a little pop-ins from our podcast puppies and pets. We do stories all the time about our podcast planning, so maybe you get some sneak peeks on the topics and things like that. So we're always looking for ways to engage with all of you and hear about what you guys want to hear from the podcast and from us. We are so excited for 2021 and for the podcast and all the episodes that we have coming up. So make sure you look at our website, njprevent.com/positive youth, as always. That is kind of our main hub for all of our news and announcements for the podcast.
And we are wishing you a happy and healthy 2021.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.